right? On Bill 21, the people leading from the front are, the NCCM, which is the National Coalition of Concerned Muslims. We've joined them as a WSO, as an intervener in their legal challenges. The Canadian Civil Rights organizations. The Canadian Bar Association came out and condemned Bill 21. So the advocacy is starting to happen. Municipalities across this country are now passing those bills. But at a federal leadership perspective, again, I think you're right, which is federal leaders and politicians in this country don't understand the real change or the experiences of people outside of their norm of what they're experiencing. And so this is where you get this overrepresentation of, the system is broken and the country is broken. Well, it's been broken for Indigenous people since the beginning.
Absolutely.
It's been broken for people of minority and vulnerable communities for a long, long time.
Yeah, that's right. If you think blockades are about oils and trains, you're not paying attention. Right, this is deep-seated, deep-rooted concerns that the Indigenous people have with this country. It's more about not having drinkable water on their lands and in their communities than it is just about blockades, right? But that's what they want to make it about, right? And again, I always remind people that always think about when these issues come up and this divisive rhetoric comes up about who it benefits. Right, and it always, by and large, tries divisiveness within the voter base and within citizens always benefits, some governing party.
Well, and I think when you look at this issue, I've been, I think I've taken a moment where this blockade issue has come up to listen. And I think it's extremely important. One of the lessons that I've really learned in my journey through politics and through fatherhood and through community work is, it takes a lot of humility to stop and try to listen and understand. And you just don't have enough of that in Canada today.
No, and my wife's a psychologist, and she says that. She says, if she let every client come in, let's say in couples therapy, and just, let them each just berate each other the whole time, they're going nowhere, right? The first step is to make them listen to each other, right? Because we can't move forward if we first don't try to listen and at least understand the other person's point of view. Never mind trying to change the person's point of view. I do want to talk about, let's talk about this third-party advocacy groups. This is a really interesting topic, I think, and I agree with you. I think that we need to put more resources and attention on the work that these advocacy groups are doing and make sure that we have proper representation there. And maybe that's a more viable option than just political representation. Because absolutely, I tell these people all the time, if a Muslim person gets elected, it's very hard for them to directly benefit the Muslim community, because that's what everybody's looking for, is to see if they're being impartial, right? And they need to represent everyone who elected them. But these advocacy groups can be a bit more targeted in their work. The problem that I think that we have with the work that some of these groups are doing is that they are also partisan, right? And I have an issue with that. So, for example, brownface and blackface, when Trudeau, when that came out, Trudeau did that, one of these groups, they immediately, put up in social media, we respectfully asked the Prime Minister to, address this issue immediately, and, and our communities are really upset. Meanwhile, if you check their other posts, they've got posts demanding the resignation of the Conservative MP who said this thing 20 years ago, right? So, that kind of stuff also just adds to the toxicity and the divisiveness, and I think we have to be careful I'm telling you right now, if it had been Andrew Scheer who came out about brownface and blackface, a lot of my friends, my people of color who were so eager to forgive Trudeau and it's not a big deal and it happened 20 years ago and he made a mistake and I don't think he's racist, would be speaking a very different story if it had been Andrew Scheer that this incident came out about. So I think that is where also the hypocrisy comes in, right? And then our allies look at us when that happens and say, oh, okay, so wait a second. It's not the blackface, brownface you have a problem with, it's the person or the party that did it that you have an issue with. And I think that doesn't help our narrative. I also don't think that, when you're building allies on the other side, that this inclination, this cancel and outrage culture, right? It's just like, you must resign and you have to be removed from office and because you did or said something. We don't allow people to evolve and to recognize that we all change, and we've all done things in the past that we may regret, but we've learned something in the meantime. Something has happened to make us change our mind or opinion. And why? And that's the other thing. This is the real big question, Harvey. I have for you. This is the question of the day. Why is every social justice warrior a brown male lawyer? That's the question I have. Almost every single social justice warrior I know is a brown male lawyer.
Well, maybe it's because we feel so disenfranchised within the legal profession, and we don't find an avenue for ourselves to voice our advocacy efforts, and so we take that to Twitter and we take it to social media.
It's also your lived experience.
Well,
I'm sure it's your lived experience
absolutely,
as well, right?
and there is a whole conversation.
It might be why you became a lawyer.
And there's a conversation about what's happening within the legal profession when it comes to equity, equality, diversity.